Here's an introduction to permit required confined spaces. This is based on OSHA's general industry standard. The confined space standard is found in 1910-146. So what is a permit required confined space? Per CFR 1910-146, a confined space is a permit required confined space if it meets one of the following four situations. It is a PRCS if it contains or has potential to contain a hazardous atmosphere. It's a PRCS if it contains a material with the potential to engulf someone who enters the space. A confined space is a PRCS if it has an internal configuration that might cause an entrant to be trapped or asphyxiated by inwardly converging walls or by a floor that slopes downward and tapers to a smaller cross-section. It is also a PRCS if it contains any other recognized serious safety or health hazard. Confined spaces kill. Between 100 to 130 workers die in confined space incidents every year. 60% of those deaths were would-be rescuers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Most deaths are caused by atmospheric hazards such as H2S. Silos, manholes, sewers, and utility vaults result in deaths. Even seemingly safe open-air pits can also cause deaths due to atmospheric stratification and engulfment hazards. Sample space air at different levels. This is a crucial component of keeping people safe when they enter confined spaces. Per OSHA 1910-146, permits are required. And according to OSHA publication 3138-01R2004, a confined space entry permit should list names of entrants, attendants, and entry supervisors, atmospheric test results, and who verified those results, purposes of entry and any known hazards, measures for controlling hazards, date of entry and time of authorized entry, communication procedures and methods to maintain contact, special equipment procedures needed such as PPE and rescue equipment, other required permits such as hot work permits. OSHA has a large list of required equipment for entering PRCSs. This equipment includes testing and monitoring equipment, personal protective equipment such as harnesses, gloves, safety glasses, respiratory protection, etc., ventilation, means of rescue such as retrieval lines, means of communication between entrant and attendant, and SDSs for known chemical hazards. For every permit required confined space entry, there are at minimum 3 required roles. These roles include the authorized entrant, attendant, and entry supervisor. Each role has an important part to play in ensuring the safety of those working. Each role requires training and understanding of the work to be done and potential hazards. Keep in mind that these roles also do not include any potential entry rescuers. The attendant is able to perform non-entry rescue, but entry rescue needs to be a separate party, whether that is a company or whether that is an emergency service. A job safety analysis should be performed to determine if a separate rescue role is necessary. The role of an authorized entrant includes knowing the space hazards, being able to use appropriate PPE properly, maintain communication with attendants, and exit from the permanent space as soon as possible when ordered by an authorized person, warning signs or symptoms of exposure, hazardous conditions exist, or an alarm is activated. The attendant is required to maintain communication with entrants and keep an accurate account of workers entering and exiting the space. The attendant is to perform non-entry rescues when specified, remain outside the permit space during entry operations unless relieved by another authorized attendant. An attendant requires training, and so somebody who relieves an attendant must be trained to that level or above. And this is key. The attendant should perform no other duties that interfere with the attendant's primary duties. Oftentimes you'll have an attendant perform ongoing monitoring of atmospheric hazards, but they are not to leave the area where the PRCS is happening. The entry supervisor is required to know the hazards in the space, including modes of exposure, verify emergency plans and entry conditions, including tests, permits, and equipment, terminate entry and cancel permits when work activity is completed or new hazards become apparent, verify rescue services are available, and ensure that entry operations remain consistent with the permit. Keep in mind that you should always consider the possibility that the work activity being performed could introduce new hazards into the confined space. This could be simply an ungrounded vac truck that has now introduced a new energy hazard. It could be that your welding is now off-gassing chemicals into the atmosphere that you don't have proper ventilation to circulate. Test the atmosphere within the permit space routinely to make sure the conditions remain safe. Appendix B of 1910-146 talks about evaluation and then also ongoing verification of atmospheric results. And you should always verify everything and have redundancies in place. And one final thought, you should always make sure that all members of your Permit Required Confined Space entry teams feel empowered to use their stop work authority.